What's going on today, guys? MMA Messiah here. So today I'm going to be breaking down one fight off of the UFC Freedom 250 card, the White House card, which is Alex Pereira, Ciryl Gane, which I think is the most interesting matchup and most talked about matchup, and is the hardcore main event in my opinion. I'm going to be breaking down what exactly is going to happen in this fight because I think Pereira is going to win. And I think it's going to be closer than what most people expect, but I think it's not going to be as close as other people are expecting. I think it's a weird fight. I think it's an interesting stylistic matchup, and I'm about to explain why. Everyone's been talking about this fight, of course, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Uh, Pereira has more ways to win than Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane could pull up some crafty shit and take Gane down. I'm just going to go ahead and cover the way that Gane has to win. My buddy is saying that Gane's too big, man. I'm gonna sound like Lucas fucking Tracy in this video, dude. I'm probably gonna put it in the title, but yeah, Gane really kicks him with the jab, man, and Gane's footwork is insane, and Gane's a terrible matchup for Pereira, and Gane can shoot takedowns too, and has 3 submission wins against Cans, heavyweight Cans, by the way, and Ciryl Gane has all this Muay Thai. Alex Pereira's game is literally built to counter everything stand up. The only person, which we'll talk about in a second, I'm just going to stick with Gane. But Gane has phenomenal footwork, but no power. He has knockouts, but they're not like flatline knockouts, and I'm about to get into that in a second. He's also just not as meant. It's so hard to give Gane credit here because Pereira really does just have more ways to win here. Gane has elusive footwork and was giving Aspinall a run for his money in the first round, but I poked him and, went to no contest. It is what it is. But Gane cheated in that fight, but he was keeping it competitive with the greatest heavyweight of all time, and Tom Aspinall, who's the fastest heavyweight we've ever seen on the feet. But he's lost to Francis Ngannou, but was beating Francis Ngannou on the feet. He is good on the feet. But Volkov outdid him on the feet just recently. And Volkov wasn't afraid. I think Aspinall was wearing into the fight, going into the fight, and feeling it out, and was wanting to go into the first, second, third round, and that was part of his plan. Maybe I'm just coping, but I mean, he got eye poked. It's not like he lost anything. And then Ciryl Gane gets awarded with this fight. Let me get into why I think Pereira wins. If it goes to unanimous decision, UD, I think Gane has more of a chance to win, but I don't think Gane KOs Pereira. I just don't think it happens. I think he probably could rock him, and I think he might get rocked in the fight because he got rocked in the first fight against Magomed, but Magomed's got thudding power, and Ciryl Gane's got combination power. He does have a slight reach advantage. But if we go into these wins and break down these fights, so this is Ciryl Gane's record right here. He no contest out Tom Aspinall and got interim title shot off it on the fucking White House for some reason. And then I call him to question some things. He went to a split decision robbery. That was one of those fights where it was not clear as day Alexander Volkov. And dude, the crazy thing is, Alexander Volkov just got a win off Jailton Almeida for being on bottom guard. Volkov's activity is insane, by the way, but he got a win from being off bottom guard and doing more damage to Jailton Almeida and got the win. But somehow Ciryl Gane got the win off the complete opposite, and was, Volkov was doing more work on the bottom than Gane was on top. But Gane had more, and Gane was doing nothing in the third round, and Volkov won the first and second clear as day. And I just don't know how you could score that fight for Gane. Amazing performance from Volkov. I mean, it was a close fight, but still, dude, that should have gone to Volkov. So really, you're looking at Ciryl Gane coming off a loss to Alexander Volkov, who's not as well-rounded. I mean, Pereira's not as well-rounded as him, but Volkov's, good, and I'll give him credit where credit's due because I really do think he's a really good heavyweight. But It's just not a good look for Ciryl Gane when you're going against one of the best stand-up strikers and best MMA fighters of all time. Spivak, his win against Spivak. If for who's those who haven't watched it, he came out in the second round, should have knocked him out in the first, really, but then hits him with some combinations, and then he just gets tired and just starts wailing on the back of Spivak's head. The ref doesn't fucking do anything about it, but he's blatantly cheating in a main event of a fight night that I watched. Oh, by the way, his inactivity. Gone. Speaking of Volkov's amazing activity, by the way, look at the shitty activity from Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane is a fucking terrorist of the goddamn sport. And that's another reason I'm not rooting for him. He's a cheater. He's inactive. His heart's not. Oh my god, I could rant about Ciryl Gane, dude. He's a French video game player and soccer player who fights seemingly part time. He has a bunch of Muay Thai fights, and I'd like to see the competition level of competition he was fighting in Muay Thai. I'd also like to see the level of competition Alex Pereira was fighting in MMA, in kickboxing. But I mean, Israel Adesanya was on his fucking list for Christ's sake. So I think even then, Alex Pereira has a better record in the preliminaries. Loses to, and we saw it say, oh yeah, which I know Alex Pereira is not going to do this shit, but we say Ciryl Gane's got submission game, which he kind of does, but Jones made him look like a fucking fool on the ground and just immediately went for the first choke he saw and Gane gave it up. Or the fight was thrown, who fucking knows? We've never seen Ciryl Gane ever look that shit. Actually, we have when he got dropped by Tai Tuivasa, who I might remind you is on a 6-fight losing streak. And, sure, Ciryl Gane won and got the, I just had to kill him, a fucking mosquito on my hand. Sure, Ciryl Gane won, but he got dropped by Tuivasa, and I don't know how that level of striker. You could say it's heavyweight, but Pereira's power at heavyweight is going to be so insane that if he gets a hit with a shot that dropped him by Tai Tuivasa, he's going to go out cold against Pereira. Moving on, Francis Ngannou learns a single leg and fucking beats Gane via learning a single leg. So his takedowns really aren't that worried. Derek Lewis, everyone beats Derek Lewis by KO. I mean, like really. What do you think is going to happen at White House? Volkov is his best win. I'd say, Volkov and Rosenstrike by UD are his best wins, I would say. I can't really shit on those too much. But I do think the Volkov that fought him in the second fight, I think the Volkov that fought him in the second fight was better than the first time. And that's why I believe he beat him. And I think Gane was the same. And I don't think Gane's really made that many improvements. And I don't think he plans on changing anything, which is going to be a problem with him from someone who adjusts. Someone who fights off the front foot and fights off the back foot and can shut down his footwork movement. I don't know which one it is, quite frankly, because we haven't seen the fight, and we can't tell until we see the fight because matchups make fights. But either Ciryl Gane will be a nightmare for Alex Pereira, or Pereira will be a nightmare for Gane, and I'm leaning more towards the Gane side. I mean, I'm leaning more towards the Pereira is going to be a nightmare for him side. And we'll look at the resume, and I'll tell you why. And I'll break down more of the fight in a second. But gets this amazing win off Magomed Ankalaev, just walks him down out the first. We can say it's a fluke if you want. We'll move on past it. He's 1-1 with Magomed Ankalaev. He did look a little dry. I don't know. These two fights, he kind of fluked Magomed here, but it was a really good game plan from him, and I got to give him credit where credit's due because he hunted him and went out with intention. And he can do that against Gane, and Gane might not be as prepared for it. Who knows? It could. So this is why it's an interesting fight. Pereira loses to Magomed via close UD. Clear 3-2, maybe 4-1. But Magomed's fighting way differently than Gane's ever going to fight in this fight. He's holding him against the fence. He's trying to take him down, shooting a lot of takedowns, getting him stuffed. Rolling with it, putting pressure on Pereira on the back foot, giving him shit to think about. Okay, I can accept that. But Pereira this was his, fourth fight in a year. He was being super active up until this point. And he wasn't, I don't really think he was training all that hard. And I think he might have underestimated Magomed. But that could just be me coping. It is what it is. He got it against Magomed back. Khalil Roundtree, he loses the first. Goes under some weather. He really he got a flat. There should be a flash knockdown for Khalil Roundtree here in the second round or in the first round whenever he went over with a head kick. But Khalil Roundtree did really well in the first and second round and almost won the second, but I think Pereira got it back. And then the third round, Pereira just started finding everything. But Khalil slows down a lot. Khalil slows down a lot. So you might think, oh yeah, that's an easy win for Pereira. Pereira slows down a lot, but Pereira destroyed Khalil on the feet. Didn't he? Showed patience. He showed resilience. He showed toughness on the feet, dude. Knocks out Yuri Prohaska. Jamal Hill knocks out Yuri Prohaska again, all in the first or second round. Just trick shotting these fucking heavyweights who I think are faster and probably not as fluid as Ciryl Gane, but I think Yuri Prohaska gives Ciryl Gane some issues. I'm just saying. And I'd like to see someone with the mentality of Yuri Prohaska go against Ciryl Gane. I mean, I might be a Ciryl Gane. I mean, I might be a Yuri Prohaska glazer. He's in my fucking thumbnail. Or not my thumbnail, my profile picture, obviously. Because he's a GOAT, even though we're not going to talk about him. Rest in peace. RIP, my homie. I got a mosquito flying around in here. So fucking annoying. Sorry, I'm going back to the screen. Flip-flopping back and forth. Just incredible wins from Alex Pereira on this note, though. But has his loss to Izzy, which my friend made a good point, which was that, if he's getting knocked out by Izzy, what is 265 are going to do to him, basically? Which I see your point. But Pereira's body type was built for light heavyweight and built for heavyweight. He was depleting himself so much at middleweight. It was fucking insane. You know that? And that compromises your ability to take shots. And ever since he moved up, the only times he's been really, really rocked, I think, are when Magomed might have rocked him in the first fight. And he just kind of stumbled backwards, rolled with the cage, didn't really get knocked out, and didn't really freak out. He knew what to do in that situation. Israel Adesanya knocked him out, but he set him up perfectly. He knew Pereira would come forward, and he set him up in a perfect game plan from Izzy, and he just fired the shot. Izzy knew what he needed to do. And he has a win over Izzy. You know what I mean? People give GSP so much fucking credit. So much credit for redeeming his only losses. Pereira is 3-1 and 1-1 with his only 2 losses in MMA. And then he knocks out Izzy. But when does he do it? When he's losing the whole fight against Izzy and turns it on at 185 when he's depleted. And he knows to find the strike against Izzy and finds it in 5. In round 5, dude. He has knockouts on he has UDs. He has knockouts on every single way. Everything he does, he always goes to the finish. This is his only decision, except for his loss to Magomed. But, dude, it's concerning that he lost to UD to Magomed at the same time, dude. It really is. And that makes me think about it because Ciryl Gane, if he's going to win it, he's going to win it by UD. But it's not that big of a concern. Flying knee over Michaelitis, that was legendary. And let's not forget this. So what is Sean Strickland famous for? Granted, they're at 185, but skill for skill. Skill for skill. Sean Strickland is probably, with accolades, a better striker and better boxer than Ciryl Gane, but Ciryl Gane has better kickboxing and Muay Thai. Stylistically, you see, it's weird to break shit down like this because Sean Strickland's at middleweight. Why am I comparing him to Ciryl Gane, you're wondering? Because Alex Pereira read his movement perfectly and read his defense. And I think Sean Strickland's gotten better since then, and that's why we've seen such a big improvement from defense. But even still, this was a Sean Strickland. If we look at it here, this was a Sean Strickland coming off of the Jack Hermanson, Uriah Hall. He was still early in the Brendan. Now he has a Brandon Allen win from TKOs, so he was still on top of his game, man. So He just read Strickland easily, dude. And I see something similar. I truthfully do see something similar because Gane likes to go down with his hands to his waist and rely on his movement. But Pereira shuts down movement with his head kicks. And he's going to hit so hard at 265. And he's just going to hit leg kick, boom, 1, 2. Gane tries to step outside. Gane's trying to circle outside against the cage. Pereira leg kick, body kick, jab, body shot, rips it. Starts putting pressure on Gane. Gane's movement starts to decay. We're in the second round now. Third round goes by. Gane's movement is gone. He's against the fence. Pereira starts combining. Gane tries to exit out. And in these later rounds, when you see what is more likely, Pereira ripping combinations with success, or Gane jabbing and circling around the greatest striker, one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen, in Pereira. I just don't see it happening. It can't happen. And it would be so much better for the sport because Pereira is a bigger star and would have triple champ stats. I just hope Pereira is not underestimating him here. He doesn't really seem like it. He seems like he's well prepared. But when you really think about these matchups, you know, Pereira with his movement, he could be slow at heavyweight. These are the factors that you have to take into consideration. Pereira's gas tank, how fast he's going to be at heavyweight. How prepared is Ciryl Gane? How patient is he? Because Ciryl Gane is happy just winning these close point fight, rangy fights. He can keep Pereira on the outside or in the inside and just sidestep him the whole time. I could see it being a problem for Pereira. But Pereira's power and experience, man, I just can't see that happening realistically. I give it 80% to Pereira here, or 75% to Pereira. If they fight 4 times, I see Pereira winning 3 out of the 4 times. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's my rant today. They call me Messiah for a fucking reason. That's my new quote. They call me Messiah for a reason. They call me the Messiah for a reason. Like and subscribe, guys. If I get this shit right, I'm goated. Like and subscribe, please. It really helps me out. I'm really trying to get into this YouTube stuff. I want to get into debating channels. I want to invite channels to debate. So if anyone sees any of this and wants to debate, just let me know. Peace out. Have a good day.